Hello, and welcome to this webinar from Suntico. Today, connect to your business with this new Sage 50 cloud extension. And of course, when I talk about this new Sage 50 cloud extension, what I mean is Suntico. But this week, we're taking a look at Suntico from the perspective of the finance team, whereas for the last couple of weeks, we were looking at Suntico from the perspective of the sales team and the sales managers. In preparing for this webinar, I taught myself a new word, and that new word was decouple, or decouple. I'm still learning how to pronounce it. And actually, I'm incorrect to say it's a new word. That new word is actually over 600 years old, and it comes from Old French. And what it means is to multiply by 10. And hopefully today, what you will learn is how you can multiply by 10, or decouple, the value of the data you have within your Sage 50 system. Now, let me make one thing clear. When I talk about your Sage 50 system, I mean this could be any Sage 50 system. It could be Sage 50 Accounting US edition, Sage 50 Accounting Canadian edition, Sage 50 Accounts UK version, Sage 50 Accounts Irish version. It doesn't matter. The principles that I'm talking about today apply across all those products, and Suntico works with all those versions of Sage 50. My name's Hugh Johnson. I'm the Senior Vice President of Business Development at Suntico. And just as over 700 million people today logged on to Facebook to figure out what was going on within their personal friendships and personal networks, a growing number of people within companies that are using Sage 50 are logging into Suntico to find out what's happening across their business and within their important customer relationships. And if you like what you see today, please tell your friends and invite them to take a look at Suntico. But perhaps even more importantly, one of the things that I will be doing is taking you through a quick demonstration of some of the aspects of Suntico on a demonstration account that we've got set up. And if you do like what you hear today and see today, by all means, go to our website at the end of this webinar and register so that you can access this demo account and have a play yourself. And by doing that, I can keep this webinar relatively short, to 30 minutes. And we will have about 25 minutes of presentation and demonstration, and about 5 minutes for questions and answers at the end. And if you have any further questions that you want to address, of course you can reach me directly at Hugh C. Johnson on Twitter or Google+, LinkedIn, or by email to hugh.johnson@suntico.com. Now, when I was a young person, which was quite a while ago, my dad used to keep bees. In fact, he kept quite a lot of bees. You could say he kept decouples of bees. But one of the things that fascinated me about bees was that their sheer, almost perfect teamwork that goes on within a bee colony. And you could have thousands of bees within a colony, and they all know exactly what they're meant to do. And it's not just a case of knowing exactly what they're meant to do. They also communicate to each other. And you don't realize this at first when you look at bees, but they do. And they do actually communicate very well to each other. And it got me thinking about teamwork and communication within a business context. And if you ask any business leader what's so special about his or her company, you nearly always get some kind of, I think, trite answer, which is, well, it's the people, it's the teamwork. We've got a very special team. We've got great people. Well, of course, the companies may have great people and they may have great teams, but if you're a small to medium-sized business, the statistics are against you in terms of having great teamwork. You may have great people, but the teamwork might not be there. What I've done here is I've plotted US company productivity against company size. And by productivity, I mean the revenue per dollar spent on payroll. As a company grows beyond very small, what happens is intuitively you would know this, is that people end up with this overhead burden of figuring out what's going on across the business. And you end up having lots of meetings, and meetings about meetings, and meetings to track what each other are doing. And I'm not saying these meetings are not important. Of course they are, because it is really important for you to understand what's going on in certain aspects of your business. But there must be a better way of figuring out what's going on. But the companies in the kind of 10 to 100 employee bracket really struggle with this. And I'm afraid this is right at the heartland of the bigger Sage 50 companies. And this, of course, isn't to say that Sage 50 makes you unproductive. Far from the truth. Sage 50 is an excellent piece of accounting software, and actually, within your company, Sage 50 is probably the best source of information you have within the company, and the most accurate, and the most complete, and the most diligently worked at. Now, McKinsey ran a lot of studies on what drives unproductivity within companies, and one of the biggest problems with productivity is the sheer time it takes and the sheer time people spend looking for the information that they need in order to do their job effectively. Within a company using Sage 50, as I said, your Sage 50 system is probably the best source of information across the company. It's the definitive list of your company, of your customers, of your vendors, of all the business you've ever done, the products you've sold, the prices you've sold them at, the invoices you've cut, the money you've received, the money you've paid out. And that information, in a lot of companies, remains either hidden or semi-hidden within the finance team and within the finance department. However, the information is actually very valuable across the business. A sales rep in a company that's doing a lot of business-to-business trading, or somebody on customer service who needs to deal with a delivery issue, can often find the information that they need within the back order information in Sage 50 or within the invoicing information. They just don't have access to it. So really what we're talking about today is finding ways to help you put your Sage 50 data assets to work and turn that kind of static data into a living asset that can help your business thrive. So the first thing we're going to look at is the basic thing of just sharing the information you have within your Sage 50 system with your colleagues and across the company. What I'm going to do is I'm going to log in. Well, in fact, I have logged in to Suntico. In this particular case, it's through an iPad emulator. And I'm pretending to be a chap called Derek Gross, who's a sales rep within a company that's using Sage 50. In the background, what's happened is that the company has taken out a subscription to Suntico. They've issued me with an iPad. And so when I'm out and about visiting my customers, I can check up on what's going on. And in the background, what's happening is the data that has been entered into my Sage 50 system is being synchronized up into Suntico, and there is available for me to access. And I can drill down. I can see my business. I can see my accounts. And of course, one of the nice things about this is that I'm a very important sales rep, but I'm a sales rep that looks after just a small number of accounts. I look after 5 key accounts within the business. And that's all I can see in the system. I can't see any other Sage data. Now I can drill down as deep as I want, and I can see the sales invoices that relate to my customers. I can see the sales orders. I can see the status of them. I can see any part shipments, any back orders. I can see all of that information. But the important thing there is that I just have access to the records that I'm granted permission to access to. Now, the other thing you might notice is that it's a web-based application. I'm accessing this through a web browser on my iPad. Equally, I could access it through a mobile phone. I could access it on my Apple Mac at home. I could access it from a remote office. I could access it from a client's office if I just wanted to check up something on behalf of the client. And again, one of the nice things is, just in terms of sharing information across the business, there's no limit to the number of users that you can have on Suntico, subject, of course, to the subscription you take out, but there's no artificial limit in terms of the numbers that the database can handle. Now, the value of that can be immense because surveys have shown that sales reps who are out in a B2B environment quite often spend up to a quarter of their time just chasing information on behalf of their clients, on behalf of their customers, chasing information through their organization. Now, if you've got 5 reps, and if you can save them 10% of the time by pushing that information into their fingertips, that's $50,000 that you're saving the company straight away through being able to deliver better productivity for the salespeople. And of course, then they can have more face time selling, and they can deliver better customer service to their clients. Now, of course, we're talking about sharing information there. The next thing we want to talk about is, if you're going to share your Sage data, is all about control. Because while your Sage data is very valuable to people that need it, the last thing you want to do is start issuing it and delivering that information to people that don't need it. So we'll take a very quick look at how you can do that and how you can control that. So I'll just go back to my main administrator on the account. So what I have here is I've logged on as Dolores Flowers within my Suntico system, and Dolores is the administrator on the account. And what I'll just briefly show you here is that I have absolute control over all my users, what they can see, what they can do, and so on within the system. So here I can invite any other members of my company on to join the system very simply just by clicking these invite buttons, subject again, of course, to the plan that I'm on and so on. But if I drill down and I look at Derek Gross, that we were just logged in at a few moments before, I can see his access profile. His access profile is account representative, okay, and I can see that within his access profile, he can access Bellwether Garden Supply, which is this company, and only his own account, okay, and that's what we were seeing there. Now, in terms of what does an account rep access profile actually mean? Well, I can control what that means. So I've absolute fine-grained control of this. So if I pull up the account rep profile, here we have it. I can control what data can be seen, modified, deleted, exported, or imported within the system, and therefore what Derek can see and do within the system. So within this panel here, I control the generic profile of an account rep, and then as the account reps come on, I can start using the system. What I can do then, if I go back to Derek's profile, although he's an account rep, and through the access profile to define what he can do, through this company tab here, I can subdivide that down into what data, what sets of accounts data he can see. So I can choose to allow him to see all accounts within the system, just his own accounts, or maybe he's a sales manager, and I can assign him to see all the accounts within Atlanta 1 as a territory. So I've got very, very tight control there in terms of what any user can do or see within the system. The next thing I want to talk about is if what we're trying to do is save people time finding information and finding data to help them do their job. Of course, let's have a look at exactly how we do that. So if I go back to, sorry, good. Sorry, okay. If I go back to Derek's view here on the iPad, and if I look at his list of accounts, there's a number of ways in which you can make life easier or Derek can make life easier for himself. Now, in his particular case, it's not too difficult because he's only got 5 records. But what he can do is, if he's dealing with particular records very often, he can bookmark them. Okay. Now, these bookmarks are personal to himself. Okay. So they won't appear in anybody else's view of the system. And so he can bookmark what's important to him, the stuff that he's working on at the moment. And that means that those things, when he goes in to take a look at that data automatically appears at the top. Now, this can be very important if you're using a mobile device or a mobile phone or something with small screen real estate to access the information. It means the information that's relevant to you appears at the top. The other thing that's very useful within the system is a very good free text search. So I can just start typing in this particular case, I've just typed in OS, and that's brought back one sales account for Frost Technology Park. So it's searched the whole string there. But actually what that search does, it searches transactions, transaction header information, searches accounts, it searches documents, it searches addresses, it searches notes. So that's a free text search pretty much across the entire system, quickly to pull back information. I can create notes against the system very quickly. And I can create hashtags, which again, so I could do, let's just say I'm adding a note to Frost Technology Park, and I'm going to say hashtag special offer. Okay, perhaps not a particularly realistic note. But what that's done is that's created this kind of trending hashtag special offer, which means if there's a lot of discussions about this special offer, all I need to do is just click on this, and that'll pull back all the conversations that have gone on within the system, all the threads, just like in Twitter. It'll pull back all the threads that contain that hashtag. Again, in the interest of searching for information, I might have data within a line item that I'm looking for. I might be looking for trends across my customers, and in fact, sorry, the iPad's probably not the best one to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flick over to Dolores logon, where I've got a much richer set of information because she has access to all the data. And I'll go in and drill down to see the line items. Now what I've got presented here is I've actually got all the line items of all the transactions that have happened within Sage 50. And it's, say, for example, if I just wanted to look up who in the past has bought this service called Land 17700, or the preparation and cultivation service. All I need to do is filter on that service, and that pulls back all the transactions. If I want to see what customers have bought that before, I can choose to add the customer account, and if I say I'm only interested in people that have bought rather than had received quotations, I can further filter on invoices, and there I have it. What I've got is I've got all the previous accounts that have bought this service before, and in fact what I can do then is, if there's a big list, I could then group that by account. I can say, okay, I've got Williams Industries has bought twice, and I've got the other accounts there. So again, it's a very powerful way to drill down, right down into the transaction detail. I could have going back to my tags, again, if I'm just trying to search for information, I can tag a record within Sage, within Suntico, and these tags can be anything I want. Okay, but so far, as you've seen, I've actually only created one tag within the system, which was special offer. Okay, and I can tag this account as special offer. Okay, but equally, if I'm worried about credit control, and I could tag an account, say credit card only, in terms of payments, and that'd be a notification. And the finance department, it could be a notification to the sales rep. Next time he's talking to the customer, he sees that tag against the account, and it's not buried down here at the bottom. You actually see it in the accounts list. If you go back to Teesdale Real Estate as the example, there we have Teesdale Real Estate tagged as special offer. And again, if I wanted to filter all the accounts that I've tagged in a particular way, tag for credit card payments only, tag for special offer, tag for whatever, tagged as a gold account, it's a very, very quick way to pull back that information and find that information. Another thing I can do is if I can create lists. So if I had my filtered view, and if I just say, I'm just going to do a simple example, COL for, I've just pulled there a list of Callista's accounts. I can then save that as a list view within my system. But equally, I can save the list for I could save the list for a list of transactions. I could save the list for accounts with a balance exceeding $10,000 or so on. And all I need to do is just go into the lists tab there and pull back my predetermined views anytime I want. So that's just a few ways in which you can very, very quickly find very valuable information within. Whoops. I got used to this tabbing. Sorry. Okay. That's a very easy way to find information that I have within Sage 50. But of course, it's not just about finding information. Within Suntico, we've pulled all that Sage 50 data up into a relational database, and you can start using that as the basis, as the spine from which you can start enriching that data further. And again, let's just take a very, very quick look. Oh, sorry. At little ways in which we've enriched that data. So I drilled down a simple way. Sorry, I wanted to show territories. That was a different. So within Suntico, we've got this concept of territories, okay? And it's just a small extension to the Sage data. But any account record within the system can be linked to a territory. And thereby, it's extending the way in which you can sort and manipulate the data. It's extending the way in which you can provide user access. So you might provide a sales manager with access to all accounts within a given territory, and a sales rep just to his or her own accounts, and the bosses of the company access to all accounts within the system. But we're not just talking about Sage data, because one of the other things that I can do is I can add my own records within the system. So I can create new accounts, and this, of course, is vital for a sales rep, because a sales rep would be dealing with prospect accounts as well as the existing trading customers. So as a sales rep, I can keep all my prospective accounts within Suntico without cluttering up Sage 50, but they're all there together, okay? And what it does mean is that if I've had notes, discussions, attachments, and whatever linked to my account records, and that prospect becomes a customer, then what the administrator on the system can do then is say, okay, actually, those two records, that customer I've set up in Sage and that prospective account that the sales rep was working on, they're actually the same thing, and I can merge those two records together to make one record, and I don't lose any of the history that I had when that customer was a prospect. That's all carried through to when they become a live customer set up in Sage. Now I've talked about documents and so on, and just other ways in which you can add, where we're extending and enriching the Sage data. What we've kind of brushed over is this idea of a wall. Okay, now this is just like your Facebook timeline, but every record within the system is like a participant in this kind of private social network going on within your company. So even an invoice has its own wall. Okay, so what that means is if an invoice is important to you, you can follow that invoice. You can have a discussion threads around that invoice. You can have attachments to that invoice. If you're a Sage 50 US accounting user and you're dealing a lot with sales orders and purchase orders, you can add attachments to your sales orders and purchase orders and create approvals associated with those. So, which comes on to one of the last parts of the presentation that I wanted to do. It's not just about enriching your data, it's not just about sharing the data, it's not just about finding the information, it's actually about improving collaboration between departments, between the sales department and between the finance department, for example. So and just a very, very simple example, what we've got working here is kind of multi-user task management, and as you can see, I haven't gone into loads of aspects of the system here today, but you can do this yourselves. But it's very easy to create tasks that cut across boundaries within the company that link into your records. So it might be, say, I want to create a new task and proof of payment. I can configure what these are. I can maybe there's a vendor invoice in here, and I've got this purchase invoice from Client Construction, and I know that my colleague Susan Pritchard was actually involved in that, and I'm going to say Susan, please approve. So I've created this task, I've assigned it to Susan, and saved it. Now what that will do is it's linked that task to that purchase invoice. Okay, so if anyone's looking at the purchase invoice and they want to say, who approved the payment on this, you can see it. And that's assigned to Susan, and what will happen is when Susan logs on, she'll get a little notification here that there's a task awaiting her approval. So that's a whistle-stop tour of Suntico. As you can guess, there's a whole load of stuff in here, but I wanted to keep the demonstration and the presentation relatively short because, you know, I'm quite happy for you to log on afterwards and try this for yourselves. So if I go back to my presentation, if you like what you've seen, or you think you like what you've seen but you're not sure and you want to have a go and have a try yourself, come over to our website, hit that try for free button and register for access to the demo account, and there you'll get access to this same demo account that we've presented here today. So again, just to wrap up, if you've got any questions following today's webinar, then please just reach out to me directly. I have ran out of time, and I apologize because with those couple of network issues, it kind of ran a little bit over. I just want to ask, just before I wrap up, are there any questions that anybody has? You can just type a question into the chat thing. Okay, well, I can see one question, which is it's a classic one that comes up a lot. What versions of Sage 50? As you know, I was talking about the different country editions. What versions of Sage 50 do you work with? And the answer to that is simple. It's Sage 50 US 2014 or 2015, and same with Canada, and Sage 50 UK and Ireland 2014. Okay, I would like to thank you all for your attention, and as I say, please feel free to drop me a line with any questions and try Suntico out for yourselves. Thank you very much.